This is the future.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Warframe video. First of all, I would like to thank you guys for supporting the changes in my YouTube channel. Thank you for all the positive feedback and messages that you have given me. Your support is my inspiration to do better and create quality videos that will help you have more fun in playing Warframe. Again, thank you for all your support, and now let's dive deep into the video. Today, I just want to talk about one of my favorite Warframe in the game named Nidus. But before that, let me ask you a question. Why do you play Nidus right now? If this question was asked to me 3 years ago, then I would simply given you 2 reasons: immortality and level cap. This Warframe just can't die, and Nidus is one of the best Warframes to spend countless hours in level cap and feeling good that you are just toying with bullet sponge enemies in the game. The Warframe is a complete package when it comes to survivability. He has an undying passive that grants you 5 seconds of invulnerability, and you can abuse this by continually gaining mutation stacks. These mutation stacks are special resources for Nidus that you can generate through hitting enemies with virulence, killing enemies that are held by larvae, or even hitting enemies with the maggot's explosion from your ravenous ability. Just by casting these abilities, you can generate mutation stacks with Nidus and continually get the benefit of 5 seconds of invulnerability. Now let's talk about his passive augment. Nidus got an augment called Abundant Mutation for his passive that increases the amount of max stacks that he can carry, but it adds a cooldown of 30 seconds to his undying passive. The more mutation stacks, the greater the damage of your virulence and maggot's explosion. While this is glorious, I would not recommend using it in the level cap, as you will need that 5 seconds of invulnerability always. 30-second cooldown is too long in level cap. Enemies will melt your health fast, even if you have linked to an enemy to gain 90% damage redirection. In beyond Steel Path levels, it's all about getting mutation stacks as fast as you can to make sure that you will be granted the 5 seconds of invulnerability. Aside from insane survivability, Nidus is the very first Warframe with awesome ability synergy. Before Harrow and any other Warframes that has insane synergy on their abilities, Nidus has one of the best kits in the game, as all his abilities work well together. His first ability will grant you rapid mutation stacks, and at the same time, you will obtain energy per enemy hit by the skill. The best way to get stack and energy fast with virulence is through grouping enemies in one place so you can hit multiple targets. Also, the lower your efficiency, the greater your energy gain. Hence, it's very effective to have blind rage in your Nidus build. The Warframe also has a grouping ability called Larva, and it makes it easy to gain mutation stacks and energy while you hit enemies with virulence that are grouped by larva. Then he got his third ability, which is the best source for reducing the damage taken of Nidus. While it's not that important in Steel Path and beyond, the 90% damage redirection from Parasitic Link ability allows you to reduce the damage of enemies so you can maintain your mutation stacks. Now, players often think that the only purpose of Ravenous is to heal Nidus and pair it with the Parasitic Link's damage redirection to help you maintain your mutation stack. But aside from the heal, the maggots can also crowd control enemies, and it gives you that time to build up mutation stacks to full. There's also an augment for his fourth ability called Insatiable that grants him a chance to generate an additional mutation stack when gaining one while standing on the spawning grounds. Most of the time, I use an Insatiable Nidus in the past when I want to enjoy long endurance runs, and I usually cast Ravenous when I'm below 50 stacks to give me that time to build up the stack again. I can honestly say that Insatiable is one of the best augments for Nidus, especially in level cap, but it would be unfair if I did not include the Teeming Virulence augment in the conversation. Teeming Virulence is a Warframe augment mod for Nidus that grants an increased critical chance for Nidus's primary weapon upon hitting 4 enemies with a single use of Virulence. The critical chance bonus is affected by ability strength, including Nidus's passive rank bonus, and its duration is affected by duration mods. After this augment arrived, I had tons of fun playing the Warframe with red crit builds on my primary weapons such as the Kuva Brahma. I just pair the synergy with lots of critical chance mods, then the Arcane Avenger, and the Teeming Virulence augment with my Nidus modded mainly for power strength with a bit of duration from Prime Continuity, and the whole synergy just wreck enemies easily. Based on our skill recap for Nidus, you will see that his kit is basically for immortality, and some of the augments just like Teeming Virulence, Abundant Mutation, and Insatiable just either make Nidus survivability more reliable or just add a different way to play Nidus. The only augment I did not discuss in the video is the Larva Burst that allows the player to detonate larva by recasting the ability, dealing toxin damage proportional to the enemies trapped in larva beforehand in a small area of effect. While it's a great quality of life for his second ability, as you can group enemies more efficiently, I still don't have any problem with the grouping mechanic of larva, and instead of using larva, I sometimes subsume and snare Snare and my Nidus, as I think it's better when it comes to grouping enemies. The problem with Larva is that sometimes enemies get stuck in places, and remember that you would need to kill all the group enemies, or else you will need to wait for the timer of Larva to expire before you can recast the ability again. With Ensnare, you can freely recast and group enemies as long as you are targeting different enemies. The good thing is that it can also affect Acolytes and Steel Path levels, and based on experience, Ensnare Nidus is way better compared to the original Larva version. I pair this build with either a Teeming Virulence or Insatiable setup, depending on my mood. If I want to go beyond Steel Path, then it's probably the Insatiable augment for fast mutation stacking. While for red crit builds on my primary and Steel Path levels, I go with the Teeming Virulence setup. The builds I've shown you are typical Nidus Enjoyer setup, wherein you just go in Steel Path and beyond missions, chill, and kill enemies until you get bored. Other than that, Nidus' purpose is to be an extra source of power strength to allies when using his parasitic link. When linked with an ally Warframe, Nidus and his target both receive a 25% ability strength and damage bonus. This increases with power strength, and many Warframe players use this synergy for crazy team setup that requires a lot of power strength. Players can always say that Nidus can be used in any mission if you want to, but let's face the fact that there are better Warframes in setup for other missions. While Nidus is great in long endurance runs, you can't say that he is also best suited for long hours of excavation missions or even defense missions, as most likely you would need a Warframe like Frost to defend the objective against the heavy fire of beyond Steel Path enemies. Nidus is fun to play only in long endurance runs or a team with crazy power strength combos. This is the truth in the past, but right now we can break the meta chain and make Nidus a farming Warframe intended for long hours of endurance runs while farming Steel Essence and other resources we need in the game. I present to you Orgaze Nidus. Orgaze is a Warframe augment mod for Atlas that modifies Petrify to cause enemies turned to stone to be scanned into the codex and have a chance to make them drop extra loot. We can literally make Nidus a good farming Warframe with an Orgaze setup, as now it's easy to achieve that 100% extra loot from a petrified target with Nidus. This build has 346% power strength, and the missing 60% will come from Molt Augmented once it has 250 stacks from killing enemies. This is why this build is perfect for endurance, since you can have the full advantage of Molt Augmented and get extra loot from enemies that you petrify. Also, Nidus becomes the tankiest farming Warframe in the game with the Orgaze setup. Not only you having fun while playing the Warframe, but you are also helping yourself by farming important resources. Now, I know many of you are confused as to why I subsume Petrify on his second ability slot. It doesn't make any sense, since Larva is a great grouping ability and will be great for this Petrify setup. The fact is, you can't petrify enemies that are grouped by Larva, and secondly, Ravenous is way better in my opinion when it comes to level cap plays, as you have the aggro control to support your mutation stacking. If you are concerned with the grouping mechanic, then don't forget that we have an immortal companion right now by the name of Nautilus to group enemies with the Cordon Mod precept. The best part is, it's not like Larva and you can petrify enemies that are grouped together. You can obtain Nidus Prime right now by buying it from other players through Trade Chat or the website called warframe.market. The set would cost 75 platinum. The Orgaze augment can also be bought from other players with platinum, and it costs around 15 platinum. The other mods can be farmed and also be bought from other players aside from the Umbral mods, which you can obtain by playing the Sacrifice quest. In terms of weapon choices, you can go with anything that can kill enemies fast. You can go with incarnate weapons such as Latum or the Incarnate Torrid, or even try a melee setup for Nidus, which I will definitely try in the Whispers in the Wall update. In case you haven't heard, the Whispers in the Wall will be adding a new melee feature called the Tenno-Kai technique that allows you to do heavy attack without consuming your combo count. Also, it will add melee arcanes, which will boost the power of melee weapons. Oh, lastly, I would like to announce that I will be composing more videos like this. It's a video wherein I feature an updated build for each Warframes in the game that you can use not just to have fun, but also to help you farm or speed farm everything in Warframe. I will put all these videos in one playlist for easy access. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next Warframe guide. Squad Leader signing off.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future.